My name is Tommy Pierucki, and this is my lovely wife Heather, and welcome to our house. I think it was real early on when I first moved here, or when Heather and I first moved here back in like 2013. A friend of mine got me a GoPro, and I was like, sweet, I'm gonna put this thing on my surfboard, I'm gonna put it on my boogie board, I'm gonna put it on my, my lunch tray when I went to go body surf. I put it everywhere, and I would just kind of have fun. And I really liked seeing photos that like Zach Noyle took and Clark Little. So I was like, oh, I can take this GoPro to Sandy's, and I would put it on burst mode, and I would take like 30 photos in 1 second, and just kind of like try and get there and be in the spot to get some of those photos and like kind of recreate some of those shots. So that's where it all kind of started, and then I'd put the GoPro on the board, and every time I go surfing, I would just like see all these like beautiful moments that like having one small action camera on the nose of my board pointed right at me could never really capture. So there's a lot of times I would take I used to surf Pop's Dawn Patrol all the time, and I would take the camera off and like point it at the sunrise, and like I would get those photos and yeah, that's what it looked like, kind of, but it was never doing it justice. There was moments of people paddling over a wave or paddling for a wave, or like their body position in like a critical moment, and that like the GoPro would never truly capture, but I would always have those moments like in my head. And at one point, I had left a job, and I was kind of bouncing around from job to job, and I had a little extra time, and I had a little extra money at that point, and was like, maybe I can get this camera in this water housing. And like the GoPro was like one of those things, I didn't use it all the time, but I used it a decent amount. And so when I bought the camera and the housing, Heather was like, this thing's gonna end up on the shelf in like 3 months, is it? So it was like, and I was like, no, I don't know. I'm like, I'm gonna get it anyway. I really want it, and so once I got the camera, that was January of 2018. So it wasn't that long ago, about 3 years ago. And once I got a hold of the camera, I didn't know I didn't know all the settings. I didn't really understand exposure triangle. I just kind of I was like, boop, that takes a picture. Okay, I looked at the picture. I was like, okay, okay, I'm just gonna go. And so I bought myself a pair of fins and got the helmet, and I put on sunscreen and just like went out, and like I would bug my friends. I was like, are you going surfing? Are you going surfing? I want to take photos. I want to take photos. And I would do that for probably like 6 months before I started. I would go to where I lived out by like Toes. I'd go to like Old Man's. I'd go to Tongs. I'd go to Threes a lot. Man, that was a long swim. And then
I remember being like super surprised that it lasted longer than like the 3 months too.
Yeah.
Like every day you got up and you were like,
bye,
I'm going. And I was like, okay, bye.
Yeah, it was just, it kept getting more and more fun. Yeah. And then I started, I went to Queens one time. I was like, yeah, maybe I've never really surfed there. I've only surfed there like maybe once or twice. And I was like, oh, I'll go there, and took a couple photos of Toots. And then like after like seeing the photos, and like I was like, oh man, he looks really cool on a wave, and I was like, he's got this great posture. He can do like these like maneuvers that like no one else is doing, and I was like, man, this is like cool. So I kind of kept going back, and like I was able to just get more photos of him. And then I was like, oh man, there's more people doing stuff that are similar to this, and like I met like a lot of the kids. I met more of the people that surf Queens a lot, and realized how much talent was there. And so that's kind of how I started shooting Queens. And like it was a long process. I don't think I got to Queens until September of 2018. It was a while. But that's kind of like my home base. My very first wave I think in like right around 2001 when I came here to visit, was a baby queen. So Waikiki's always been like a part of my heart, and it's like this is home, and this is where I've wanted to spend my days since that first wave. So some of the places that being a surf photographer has taken me, the first place that we got to go to in 2019 was Sri Lanka, and that was like just a fantastic trip.
Amazing.
And we went with, it was Heather and I and Toots and Caroline, and we got to spend about 2 weeks there. I never thought I would live to see a day where it was me and two friends in the water catching perfect waves for hours on hours and hours, and no one else came out. It was like, it was so cool. She doesn't really surf much. She just likes to enjoy sitting on the beach. So she kind of just hung out. I gave her my camera. I said, "Here, take some photos of me." I
took some good ones.
She did.
I mean, I think there's a Toots shot like on his wall, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. And so, we surfed that same break almost every day. I would like I would shoot for like an hour, then I'd go surf for like 2 hours, and then come back and I'd shoot for a little while, and then like we'd go and we'd have lunch, and then we'd get some we'd like get food and like take a nap, and I'd like edit all the photos, and then we'd go do it all again all over the next day. So that trip was really fantastic. It was, that place is really special to us. Shortly after that, there was a contest for the WSL longboard, the end of the longboard tour in Taiwan. So no one really asked me to go or anything. I wasn't really like on the map or anything, and I was just kind of like, Honolua's got a chance to win the world title. Connie's got a shot at the world title. Kai Salas is going to be surfing. Khalees is going to be surfing. A couple other people from Hawaii, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go. Like, I have the time. I have the bills paid, so I was like, you know what? Let's go. So, fortunately, the WSL was kind enough to like let me swim and shoot a lot of the free surfs, and like I didn't really get to get in the water for the competition. The current was a little too strong there, but that contest was just fantastic. I got to meet so many great and like world-class surfers. So that was able to, start broadening my network of who I like to shoot and stuff. So shortly after that, January of 2020, Toots and Caroline and Jess and I went to Indonesia, and that was more of a surf trip than shooting. I think I surfed way more on that trip. I like go back and like look through some of my content that I have from that trip, and I'm like, man, I don't have a whole lot. Yeah. But like, I just surfed. So like that spot was like super dreamy. So I like dream about that place daily, and I can't wait to go back.
I'm going with this time.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come.
Yeah, I can't wait.
And then there was the first contest, the first longboard contest for WSL in Noosa in Australia. So Heather came along for that one, and I was able to hang out for like 2 weeks there, meet a lot more people, shoot a lot of the same people that that are surfing here, and just kind of had another contest under my belt, and it was fun to just be around and be a part of it and be behind the scenes and experience a new place. And then at the end of 2020, I was able to get out to California to the WSL had a specialty event at the Surf Ranch. So I got to shoot in the water from there, fly the drone a little bit, shoot from land, and just kind of experience that for one day, and that was just absolutely incredible. That was all I really wanted, was the experience, and just being able to say I was there for that event. So I was over the moon. Yeah. And then got to spend, because of the COVID restrictions for coming from the mainland back to Hawaii, they said you don't have to quarantine at this date if you come back with a negative test. So I was like, I'm going to wait till that day. So I ended up staying in California for like another couple weeks. So I got to shoot at like Malibu, Sano, and just kind of surf all up and down, Southern California. And that was pretty much it. So and then just recently went to Maui for the Maui Pro by Roxy, and got to shoot some of that contest and behind the scenes of that. So those are kind of my travels so far, and like I'm looking forward to being able to travel again soon.
I know we had lots of plans to go other places last year.
Yeah. There's
it's kind of a bummer to not be able to like experience more of it, because when I go along, I get to do assistant stuff, and I find that experience super fun because people are chatting with me while he's out in the water. So I'm bummed that we didn't get to go even more places, but I'm so excited to see where it'll take you.
Me too.
This year.
So I guess my COVID skill was that I came out of this pandemic was learning how to build boards.
Yeah.
So I'll back up. Before we went to Sri Lanka, the airline that we were taking said we couldn't take boards that were like 9.6. We had to take something a little bit shorter, and I didn't have anything at that time. And Toots had made a board for Caroline, and it was called Flower Power because it was a white board, and she had all these flower stickers on the bottom of it, and it just like it didn't really work for her, and so she was just like she was getting ready to sell the board. So I was like, can I try it out? And then I tried it out, and I really liked it, and bought it from her. Took it to Sri Lanka. I took it to Australia. Surfed like so much on it, and I loved that board. And I had also, during that time, ordered a board from Michael Takayama in California, and so that board was coming. And a friend of mine, Hoku, who had learned to make boards from Toots, borrowed, Flower Power from me, and he's like, "Oh man, I really like that board. Can I sample?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem." So he wrote it for a couple ways. Like, "Okay, I need to make a template of this board. Can I borrow this from you? Make a template, and then I want maybe we'll surf it a couple more times, and I'll get it back." I was like, "Yeah, no problem." My Michael board had just shown up, so I was like, "Here you go, man." Yeah. And unfortunately, during the time it was in Hoku's possession, it got damaged, and so he was like super apologetic about it, and like he was totally distraught. And I was like, "Dude, it's okay, it's no big deal." He's like, "We can fix it." He's like, "I don't know if it'll ever ride the same, but like we can fix it, or I can I'll just make you a new one. I'll try and like replicate it." And this was right around March that it happened, and I was like, "Dude, don't it's no big deal. Tell you what, buy a blank, show me how to make a brand new board, and we'll replicate this board together." And I was like, and he was like, "Yeah, let's do it." He's like, "That's awesome." So I went in on a Wednesday. He showed me how to, take the template and draw the outline of the board on the blank, and then he had me saw off the edges, and then use the Sureform and the planer to get down to the right outline, and then from there, show me how to use the planer on the top, and then on the bottom, and to get the right thickness. And I came in once a week for 4 or 5 weeks, and we recreated Flower Power. So we had Flower Power repaired, and while we were shaping and making the board, we had it in the glassing bay, so we could go touch and feel it, and then okay, we need to do this a little bit better on here, and then we could compare. And so after that board got finished, it's sitting right out here. I surf that board all the time. I love it. I kept coming back, and I was like, "Okay, I really like this, and I want to keep learning." And so I would come in on every Wednesday, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, and just help Hoku with his load, and learn how to shape, how to make concaves, how to build rails, how to glass a board, how to make color, how to sand, how to polish, how to drill the fin box, how that works, how to put in leash plugs, and logos, and the whole, how to start to finish. He has taught me everything. And just recently he bought me a blank, and he goes, "That's your present." He goes, "Here you go. Now you got to make a board for yourself." So that's where I'm at right now. I'm making my first board. I probably got to assist on like 7 or 8 boards from start to finish. I am not a shaper or a glasser by any means. I'm definitely still in apprentice mode. I have a long way to go, but I think in the long run, I think it's definitely going to be a fun creative outlet where I'm going to be able to try things here and there and surf on them and hopefully stoke out some people on some boards.
I think like one of my favorite things about the starting to shape boards story is that Tommy's got this really natural curiosity about stuff. It's why when what you see through the lens is so pretty and so cool, because he's got this curiosity about the world. And so when you see something, you naturally want to know, like, how do I fit that together, or how does it look in the frame? And so the board, I don't even know why I was surprised about you being excited about shaping boards, because I was like, oh, here we go. Like, is
this gonna be 3 months ago?
Is this gonna be on the shelf in 3 months?
Yeah.
But you started going, and then you would come home and you'd be just like, covered in dust and all that,
or smelling like resin.
Yeah, but like super curious about like how things come together, and it's just kind of like how his brain works, I think.
Yeah. So the first, my very first photo that made it to a cover of a magazine was on Pacific Longboarder, and it was a shot of Kaimana Takayama, kind of doing like a little bit of soul arch hang ten. So this was my first photo that made it to a cover of a magazine. There was a day out at Queens on a like August afternoon. It was just beautiful, and there was waves, and I was actually hired that day to shoot for someone, and I was out there for, 2 hours, and the person I was shooting, a bunch of their friends came out, including Kaimana, and I was like, hey, you might be done, but I'm like, if you're gonna go in, I'm just gonna stay out. There's a bunch more people. I'm like, there might be some more fun shots I can get. And it was like not a cloud in the sky that day. The sun was like bright overhead, and I just kind of happened to be in the right spot at the right time for this shot. And I remember when I got this shot, I was like, holy shit. Like, I looked at this and I was like, I don't understand. I've never got a shot like this before. And I didn't, like, even Kaimana, when he looks at the photo, he's like, Tommy, I don't know how you did that. I'm like, the crazy thing is, it looks like, I remember when I posted this, so many people were like, this looks like it was done in a studio, right? And like, that's like one of those things, I was like, I don't know how everything lined up for it to happen like that. And like the angle that I was sitting and what Kaimana is doing at the moment, like literally so many things lined up for the both of us so perfectly, that we nailed this shot. And then posted it, and he posted it, and like it kind of went nuts, and like got reposted a bunch of places. It's like, oh sweet. And I was like, this is like, I feel like it's like my first like an iconic shot that like as a surf photographer that you're always like looking for one of those. And as we were in Sri Lanka, we didn't have like cell service there, but we had our phones. And when we were traveling from where we were staying to where we were surfing, it was about an hour ride in a tuk-tuk. And so we did have a little MiFi device, and so we were like, we didn't really on our phones. We were at the beach surfing and stuff, so like we were able to check our phones in the tuk-tuk on the way back. And I open up Instagram for the first time, like all day, and I see this notification from Adam King, who's another surf photographer in Florida that I've never met, but him and I chat a lot. And it's a comment on Pacific Longboarder's post, and it's like their office or their house or whatever, and Sharon, John's wife, is like working on the cover of their 100th issue, but it's kind of like back out, and it's like you see like the whole office, but on the screen you can kind of make out this shot, right? And Adam was like, do I spy a Tommy Pierucki Kaimana Takayama cover? And I was like, no way. Like they asked me, they emailed me for the shot, right? And I was like, I'm like, they would have told me,
Sure.
right? Like they would have told me like what they're gonna use it for.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, never mind, no big deal. I didn't really think much of it. Like maybe I don't know, maybe they're just like playing with it or something. And then, I don't know, 30 minutes later, they posted this like cover, and like so this was what, August of 2019. So like, or no, September of 2019.
Yeah.
And I was just like, holy crap. Like complete validation that like I can like have a future in this business. Like I'm like, this is just a passion that turned into a work and in a career. And it's like, this was like, I cried like a baby.
Oh, that was the best tuk-tuk ride I've ever had in my life.
I sobbed because like I had no idea. No one's ever like believed in a photo of mine in the short period enough to like put it on a cover of a magazine, maybe to like repost on like big accounts and stuff. Like, yes, that was awesome. I love that kind of stuff. But like, something like this never happened. And so, I was like over the moon, and like it kind of like tied Kaimana and me together. You know, and we're like, now we just like, we've always got this shot, you know, and it's like one of my favorite shots. So that's like, people have asked me before, like, what's your favorite photo you've ever taken? And I'd have to say this one because of what it meant to me. Not only because of the photo, like, and how much I love the photo, but I think it's just because of what it meant to me.
And Sri Lanka was such a special trip. Neither one of us had ever really traveled to such a cool, off the beaten path place. And so to be there with two of our best friends, having an incredible time surfing breaks basically by ourselves, and just enjoying so many of the local folks that just like wrapped us up in their arms, and then to be like driving back in a tuk-tuk exhausted and sunburnt, and to see like this little teaser, and he was like, babe, like, because we're like zooming in on the photo and we're like, what are they doing? And then they posted it, and it was like, I think we were like high on that fur at least.
Oh yeah.
Well, maybe I still am.
Yeah, I still get emotional about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can tell you're emotional about it.
Yeah, I think the last time I talked about this, I was doing an Instagram live with Access Surf, and I think I'm pretty sure I cried, like telling that story again.
But even
like it was one of those things. It's like when I bought that camera and that housing, I never thought it would take me to where I am now. No way. I wasn't like buying that because like, oh, I want to be a photographer. I want to be a surf photographer. I was doing it because I love surfing. I love the moments. I love to create. And I really enjoyed having that creative outlet. And then like the people, and like the people that you would meet shooting, and just like who you're connecting with. And then like from there, being able to do this and how I do it, I'm able to give back to like the community that's like already given me so much. Like they've given me a lifetime of like living here now, and it's like there's so many other things that come with surfing, that like the waves and the surfing are actually just a bonus. So this is some old photos that I found that my sister took. She got these developed, and this is from the very first time I ever surfed. So I lived in Chicago at the time, so that's me practicing on a board right in Waikiki, right near the statue. And I think paddling out there for the very first time. And I think that's me on my very, very first wave, like ever. How it started, and maybe a little bit about how it's going. So this is like what we call our art wall. We had so much art, and we like didn't have enough space for it the way we had it set up previous to this. And I was like, babe, what if we just took them all down and just kind of smashed them all together and made a nice like art wall? So this is kind of the result of it. And like a lot of this stuff is, we like to keep it as local as possible, and like even better if we know the artist. I think like to just kind of go through some of these, who they are, like Nick Kuchar, He's just got some great stuff that's very local and like just to each particular spot. And I've just loved how this one talks about going for a walk on a longboard. John Hook was definitely one of my early inspirations. He and his personality and how he shoots surf was very early on and very inspirational to me. So having his artwork up on our wall was very important to Heather and I. And then Punky Aloha, obviously she is just crazy good, super stylistic, and Heather and I love the stuff. This one is obviously super. This one's pretty important to me. It's Jack Soren. He redid a shot for the one that got landed on Pacific Longboarder cover. So as soon as he did that, I was shut up and take my money. I need to buy this print and have it in my house. Heather Brown, obviously she's classic Waikiki and classic Hawaiiana. We have to have some of her work in our house. Her husband Chris Viverito did this from a photo of me. Yuria painted this one on one of my photos. Dustin, Bowles Dustin did this one, just super local. Abby, one of my favorite photographers, took this shot of me. And Heather loved it so much that she bought the print and had to have it on the wall. And then this is the Waikiki Grom Squad. It's a shot that Adventures of Jess took. And I just these kids, I love these kids, and would do anything for them. So having them up on the wall and a shot by Jess was important to us. Our niece, her 17-year-old niece, recreated one of my photos, and we had to get that one printed up as well. Wellesley, obviously, just kind of been around for a long time and doing great work. We bought that real early on after we moved here, and it kind of fits, and I've always liked that one. Close friend of ours, Brock Ladd, took this shot, and I was like, man, I need to have this hanging in our house. So this is one of our biggest ones that we have, and we love having that one around. And then Mike Borchardt, another local photographer, he just does some insanely good double exposures, and this one is of some palm trees and some other leaves with toots on the nose, just kind of doing one of his signature poses. He's nose riding down the line, critical spot. And, I saw that and I was like, dude, I just gotta have that. It's so creative, so good. And this is that same pose that I was talking about of toots. Chris Viverito did this in one of my shots. And so he painted that and left that for us. So super thankful we were able to hang that up. We bought this in Sri Lanka, and we had to have a piece of that stay in our house. And then this shot, it is of Anthony O'Brien, I believe, at China Walls that Jackie Fierro took. And Jackie and her mom Darcy were super influential in getting me started and just kind of guiding me in the right way. And so this is one of my favorite shots Jackie has ever taken, and how it's composed, the colors, the light, and what's actually happening, where it's at. She just killed it. And so when she had an art show, I had to buy it. I was I didn't even let her put it up. I was I'm taking this. What do I owe you? So we just got it. Another Adventures of Jess shot. Eduardo Bolioli painted this of Connie Stewart, and it was one of my shots that he got inspired by and did a painting, and he posted it and same sort of thing. I was I gotta have this, I love it. And so we brought it over and I paid him cash for it. And then our friend Lisa, obviously she does some great underwater photography. Sarah Cottle, another local, akin to Sisters of Surf, helping you guys out. And then Margie Rice, her stuff is just so local and so good. And then obviously one of my favorite photographers is Brian. I not hired him, but I asked him, I was like, Brian, can you do some portraits of me? I had my 40th birthday coming up, and he took this photo of me walking down the street in a suit carrying a surfboard in front of the Hawaii Theater. And then he also took the one that's on the wall over there of me kind of holding my camera. And he's like, can you hug the camera? And that was at Sandy Beach. And kind of next to that is like one of my first ports, my first dome ports, one of my first pair of fins, and that's actually the camera that I bought in 2019. That was my first camera that I bought for a water housing. It ended up being super high mileage and a lot of shutter clicks on it, and it kind of died, and I asked to see what the repair would cost, and it was like more than the camera cost. So I was like, you know what, I don't think I want to get rid of this. I just want to put it up on my wall as a memory of where it all started. This was made by Toots, and he asked me what color I wanted, and I was like, man, I told you how I want the board to ride, what I wanted to do and stuff. You pick the colors, like surprise me. And so this is kind of what he came up with. Since my photography company's name is Pineapple Sunrise, he kind of took the orange and yellow. Like I have an orange helmet that I shoot with out in the water. So he took that orange and like the yellow from a pineapple, and he kind of put that together. And hence this is the 7.6 mid-length from Toots single fin that like I don't get to ride very often, but it's like my favorite board for sure. So we have 3 boards out here. This big one is actually my wife's board. It's her stand-up board from Blue Planet. For now, it doesn't get ridden a whole lot, but it does protect my other boards from the sun out here. But this is the Michael Takayama board that he made for me. So this was the second board that was ever made for me, I think. Yeah, second board. So Kaimana and Michael Takayama saw the colors of the orange board, and they kind of stuck with that theme. So they did the orange deck with the yellow spear, and they call it the Waikiki blue pin line around the outside with a yellow bottom. And then on the back, right on the tail, Michael wrote my name and in resin did a camera right on the back, like so super personal and like super interesting. Like I had no idea what colors they were gonna give me. I didn't know what they were gonna do. I just told them, I was like, you guys know me, pick out a board and you know, do it. And then this is what Hoku and I affectionately call Flower Power 2.0. So this is the board that we recreated of the board that Toots made for Caroline. And this is the one that I ride a lot now. So both of these are, you know, nose riders, and they ride completely different. But like they are just like I love them. So now I have this other board that I'm making with Hoku, or Hoku bought me the blank, and now I got to make this board. So I got to make room for that out here now. And that board is going to be, I think, mustard yellow. That's Heather's favorite color, and we're going to add that to the quiver. So that's it for all my boards that I use.